high school football, a lot of teams began their practices this week getting ready for the season. If you're getting ready for the season of high school football, you got to have Hooten's Arkansas Football. It used to be called a magazine. Now it's so thick, I don't know what you call this, a encyclopedia, I guess. Chad Hooten with Hooten's Arkansas Football is with us. Their 2021 edition previews 187 high school teams. Chad, one of the things, though, it's not just high school football, and I know y'all are kind of labeled that because you do such a great job, but there's a great breakdown a ton of great pages up front on Arkansas football and the SEC East and West as well. So if someone's wanting a do-it-all book, you guys have it here. Good morning, and I know we're getting ready for high school football. Thanks for joining us today. Get Chad there. Punch that button. Good morning, Chad.
Hey, good morning, Tommy. How's the morning rush?
We're doing well. Ruskin's here. He kind of got lost and turned around this morning, so it's me and Ruskin old school, and we're just talking some football this morning.
Thanks for having me on. Yes, Hooten's Arkansas football's 432 pages this year. That's 16 pages bigger than a year ago. And you were talking about if it's a magazine or an encyclopedia. There's a guy several years ago in Jonesboro, a writer. He said, it's not a magazine, it's not a book. We'll call it a book-a-zine. And I thought that was pretty good because it does cover every high school team in the state. But also, about the first 100 pages or so is the Razorbacks and the SEC. In fact, our feature writer, John Mark Ballou, even ranks every Division I college team in the country. So I see these guys in Fort Smith. Do you have one for Oklahoma? And I said, no, but Oklahoma's in this book. So because we rank every team, I guess there's 130 playing Division I college football this year. We went out on a limb and picked Alabama to win the thing. Oklahoma's number 2. Massachusetts is number 130. So the Razorbacks, the SEC, every D1 college, all the state colleges, Arkansas Tech, Central Arkansas, all of those guys, all the teams that play in Arkansas, and then, as you mentioned, every high school team in the state. So over 6,000 boys, Arkansas boys, are mentioned in this book, Hooten's Arkansas Football, and we're excited about this one. Treylon Burks on the front cover this year, who is a great story. Or mentioned John Mark, went to Warren, visited with Treylon and Coach Bo Embry, and we spent some time with him on the Warren at the courthouse there in Bradley County, where they grow great Bradley pink tomatoes and incredible NFL caliber receivers in that small town. And he's a great story because, he's just an Arkansas kid who loves hunting and fishing almost as much as he loves scoring touchdowns on Saturday in Fayetteville, and it's a great story.
There's guys on both sides of the ball on Saturdays that, one or two guys either way that can ruin your day as a coordinator. And you got to know where that number is. And for Arkansas, if you're an opposing defensive coordinator, you better know where number 16 is this year, because he's the one guy you either bracket up, you double team, you make somebody else beat you, because you know that Treylon Burks, Chad, he's the guy that is definitely good enough to beat you.
Well, and just has had an incredible, instantly, even as a freshman, came in, had an incredible impact, and he's got, already 151 career catches, 43 touchdowns. It was just a four-sport star down at Warren, and then he comes in Fayetteville and has just made an immediate impact and has definitely got NFL, talent as his junior year approaches. Defensive coordinators all across the country will take notice of number 16. There's no doubt about that, and he's going places. No doubt about it. He's got that. He could hold about 7 of those Warren tomatoes in one hand. He's got the 4-5X glove he wears, and that helps a lot when you're playing his position. And I don't think there's any question of all the receivers. And there's been a lot of great ones, guys that have gone to the NFL. Jarius Wright, and you think about Gregg and Childs, and even back before that in 2003, they had a couple of guys that signed with Tennessee when the Volunteers were really good. But I think Trey Burks is the best one and seems the most level-headed. And when people read the cover story of Hooten's Arkansas Football, they'll see that. And, the great story about him, other than all the defensive coordinators are going to be on high alert, as you mentioned, watching number 16, is he's a guy that's pretty tough because he goes, Arkansas has a problem with these feral hogs that are quite a nuisance, hogs that have gone wild in the woods, and they're just really destructive. Treylon Burks, Arkansas star in the front and the cover boy of Hooten's Arkansas Football, he goes hunting for those things with nothing but a knife. has some dogs with him, and he takes them down with a good sized knife. And it's pretty funny. He talks about one time the dogs lost containment on the hog, and he and his buddies went to scrambling up the trees. So.
Is that not how you do it? I mean, you don't use a gun, do you?
About that.
I mean, you give them a chance, don't you? I mean, how do you do it?
I'm behind you, brother. But he's a great story, and I think people will enjoy reading.
I mean, Ruskin uses toenail clippers. That's all he has.
With my bare hands,
barehanded.
Right. Yeah. That's right.
Forget the knife.
Yeah,
that's right. Hey, Chad, there's been a lot of conversation, and I was just looking at the Bryant page here. Bryant is this is one of the big stories of the year. They're trying to become the third school to win 4 state titles in a row, joining Barton and Pulaski Academy. Is there anybody that can knock them off?
Yeah, I think so. The coach at Bryant, Buck James, who Tommy knows well, he was trying to convince us all spring long if there's a year when Bryant's not going to be as good, it's this year. And that may be the case, but good night. They've been so much better than everybody else. They're our favorite at Hooten's Arkansas football to win Class 7A again this year. And then they're what will be their junior class, their sophomores last year, maybe the best bunch they've ever had. So if they win it this year, we think they're going to do a 5-peat, Derek, not a 4, but a 5-peat in the state's largest classification. It's a big school. They have that annual Salt Bowl between Bryant and Benton, which is the biggest high school football game in Arkansas. They'll have over 20,000 up to 30,000 there. They have reported in the past. And the two communities are close together just down the road from War Memorial Stadium in Saline County. But it's become a real mismatch because Bryant has twice the enrollment of Benton. They've got a lot of great players out of Little Rock because it's so close. People move into the bedroom community of Bryant. It's really hardly a town. It's just a great big community and a great big school. And they've got players and they've got a coach who has demanded a lot of hard work. He would say that they outwork everyone. All the other 180, 90 coaches in Arkansas would say no one outworks us, but Bryant certainly has proven that the combination of good talent and great hard work has paid off for them because they've won those 3 in a row, Derek.
Let's look at the 7A West. A lot of our audience is in this side of the state, and this is the biggest football conference. Always tough, and it used to be for years. We're talking about Bryant. Seems like Bryant and North Little Rock forever have played against each other for the state championship game. Who out of the West has the best shot? I've got Bentonville ranked number 1 in your rankings in the West. There's Harbor and Fayetteville that are 2 and 3. How do you see the 7A West this year that is, for many years, was the powerhouse conference in the state when it came to state championships?
Well, that's a great question because it was the West from the year Gus Malzahn and the Springdale Five won it in 2005 for about 10 years there. It was a team from the 7A West winning it every year, and often it was 2 7A West teams playing each other. But the shift has certainly occurred over the last 5 years or so. You mentioned North Little Rock. They made their first appearance against Fayetteville and Taylor Powell, and those guys got whooped, but they were back the next year, beat Bentonville, and North Little Rock has been in it, 4 years in a row now? Mm-hmm. Boston, it seems like it's Bryant and North Little Rock, as you mentioned, every year, the last 3. But Bentonville is the one team from the 7A West that has a chance, and I thought it was good last year that when Bentonville made the playoffs, they were set up for a nice run because defensively we thought that they could stop people. They had that incredible linebacker that signed with Cole Joyce that signed with Central Florida. We thought he was one of the best players in the state. But their first-round game got canceled due to COVID, so they had 2 weeks off. And Jody Grant said, our conference is not as good as it used to be. We've had a pretty easy time. And those teams down in the metro central Arkansas area, they're beating up on each other, and it's pretty good competition all 7 weeks of conference play. So he actually had his first-team offense and first-team defense going against each other in that what would turn out to be the opening date of week 1 of the playoffs just to try to get ready for the competition. And sure enough, Cabot comes up there as a very good Cabot team as a number 4 seed and knocks off Bentonville in their first playoff game last year. But Bentonville has just been relentless on the 7A West. I mean, it is hard to believe that they have won 14 of the past 15 conference championships, and they've got 32 consecutive wins in the 7A West. So Bentonville needs the conference to be better to prepare them for the playoffs, and we're not sure that it's going to be much better this year. They're definitely the team to beat. I mean, they whooped everybody in that conference, and we think they will again with Harbor maybe making a move. And Fayetteville is very talented. You're talking about the rankings. We have Bentonville, the Hooten's staff ranked Bentonville number 3 in the state, with Fayetteville right behind them at number 4, which is even better than the coaches think. We think Fayetteville definitely has the ability and the players to make a run and to win a lot of games.
All right, let's quickly go through some of the other classifications because we can't get out here without talking about the 6A, and you start with Greenwood. The West was the more dominant of the two last year. Greenwood and Lake Hamilton were kind of the pride of that conference. Mountain Home made some noise last year. Benton, who has been very good and in state championship games. How do you see the 6A, and is anyone in the East going to give a run to the West, and who can challenge Greenwood this year?
No, I don't think anyone from the East can. Now, West Memphis is coming. They're probably a year or two away. I think you need to keep your eye on those guys. They were really good. They were unfortunate to run into Little Rock Central 2 years in a row, and then that Malzahn Springdale team in 2005. So they played in 3 state championships from 2003 to 2004 and 2005 for 3 in a row. Didn't win any of them, ran into great teams, but I think they're going to get back to that position where they can make a run. But you're right about the 6A West. First of all, Greenwood loses Rick Jones, thinking, oh, my goodness. Well, he hires his right-hand man who's watched him do it. Chris Young, who's done a fantastic job. His dad, Joe Fred, had incredible teams at Northside. And he really didn't change much, which is smart when you're
Why would you?
all the state titles. But there's a lot of guys that wouldn't have done that. And we didn't see anything but the continued excellence by Greenwood. And it's been built, as you know, from the fast dogs, Rick Jones had the elementary kids and the mothers doing the workouts with them up there. It's just a football town and a factory that Jones has built, and Coach Young has carried that on. And they've got our preseason favorite to win it all. You mentioned Lake Hamilton, who really had a great chance of beating Greenwood during the regular season at Lake Hamilton, let it get away, and then Greenwood came back and said, "You're not even going to get close in the state finals," and whooped them in the rematch for the state championship game. Benton has played in 2 of the last 3 state championships. They didn't make it last year, but they didn't get a chance because they got like 40 kids quarantined going in the first round of the playoffs, which allowed Marion to get through. Or who knows, Benton probably would have been in that semifinal match mix. So no doubt the 6A West is the best, and maybe West Memphis is coming in the future. All
right, we'll leave it right there. 187 teams. How'd you say 40,000 pages or whatever it is in this book?
432.
432 in the 29th annual Hooten's Arkansas Football. It's at every grocery store and gas station in the state if you want one. So you can pick it up there. So, Chad, great job as usual, and we'll catch up down the road.
Thank you, Tommy. Thanks, Derek.
All right, Chad Hooten, Hooten's Arkansas Football, the high school football Bible in our state, no doubt about it.